Yes, he was very, very tough in Mexico. Listen, David, we know he's a Michael Schumacher in disguise, isn't he? Honestly, Max is just a demon when he gets into that car. Puts the helmet on and the horns grow. No one's going to pass. I think Mexico, they give him a good slap on the wrist, and I hope he learns from it.
Hello and welcome to Formula for Success, and a very happy Halloween to all our listeners. I'm David Coulthard, and here to unpack all the thrilling action from the Mexican Grand Prix, where Carlos Sainz Jr. clinched his second victory of the season, is my old buddy, the man that I love to hate and hate to love. It's Eddie Jordan.
The growl is back. Carlos Sainz, what an unbelievable victory. What an unbelievable race, actually, Mexico was, David. And I hope you enjoyed it.
I did enjoy it. Unusual to have done a couple of races sitting on the sofa watching, but actually it gives you another perspective. And I thought it was an absolute belter. And it's almost like Carlos in the last few races, as he realises that his time with the Scuderia is coming to its end. He's been released, and his performances have just been so fluid and so assured. And it's a roller coaster this season. You know, one weekend you go, Charles is unbelievable. The next weekend you go, Carlos, why would Ferrari replace him? It's so up and down, isn't it?
I just let you in on a little tiny piece of an insight, and I do hope that he won't mind. But I've been a friend maybe 30 years or so with Carlos Sr. And so we text each other on a very, very regular basis, several times a week. And of course, this weekend was no exception, with almost as soon as he went over the line, the text send was sent. And of course, he would like to stay at Ferrari. That's not now going to happen. But you never know what's going to open up the door at Williams. And let's see what does happen. Because if ever there was an expression and a commitment and a showing of greatness, I think here is a great example to everybody. When you think the world is down on you, when you say, Christ, what on earth must I do to stay at Ferrari or to find a top seat? And then you wind up and you have to grip yourself again and say, I'm going to make Williams really strong. And then you come out and you win some races with the team who's replacing you. I think he's a great example to every single person out there, not just in motor racing, but in sport. And that is resilience. He is showing me that he is one of the greatest people that have ever been in motor racing, because he is adversity he's been able to tackle with full spirit. That's what I think.
Yeah, no, I think Carlos, absolutely. Brilliant performance, absolutely assured. I'm going to claim a little bit of home support in that he's got a beautiful Scottish girlfriend, Rebecca, he's obviously found a happy place out of the car as well as in the car. And it's going to be fascinating, actually, just to touch on Williams next year, how Alex Albon handles having an equal, or is he going to be a little bit better? Is Albon going to beat Carlos? If he does, then that's a pretty strong statement, because it's been quite difficult to judge Alex in his performances when he was alongside Logan Sargent. But we're absolutely going to have a fascinating inter-team battle there. But we'll cover that, EJ, unless you've got a strong view on that with your crystal balls. We can cover it in another podcast. But if we just focus on where we are now, Ferrari have now moved into second in the Constructors' Championship. They're 29 points behind McLaren. Now, the question is, can Ferrari claim their first Constructors' title since 2008? We've got 4 Grand Prix left, plus some sprints. What do you reckon?
Sorry, if I had a moment, I'd dig it out on my text. But so my next message to Carlos Sr. was, fingers crossed, guys. Let's see what happens. I'm a bit of a McLaren fan, but nevertheless, the joy of seeing a championship, and for Carlos to be able to leave Ferrari as being part of a championship winning car and a championship winning team, would fill me with joy. And I think there wouldn't be many people out there who would disagree with that. However, there's a lot of McLaren fans out there, so we're not trying to alienate people against each other. I'm just saying that from Carlos's point of view, from his father's point of view, for what he's delivered for Ferrari, I personally hope he leaves there as being a member of the team of the Constructors' Championship winning team.
Yeah, well, here to that. Amazingly, I guess it's a reflection on that we haven't been back in Mexico for very long, but the stats are always interesting to reflect on. It's only the second time that Ferrari have won in Mexico. Jackie X back in 1970. I wasn't even born. You were hustling and selling cars and racing back in 1970. And they won again with Alain Prost in 1990. So that's got to be huge for their South American fans. Oh, no, actually, excuse me, it's not South America. They're Mexican fans.
So it was nice to see Alcon there. So Ferrari are taking it very serious. That market, have a look at the market that Ferrari have been in. It's fascinating. David, I know where you live and you know where I live. And just the amount of people who are saving up and doing all sorts of things to buy the car of their choice. And in that particular sector, against the Lamborghini and the this and the that and the Bugatti or da, everything seems to just revolve around Ferrari. And they keep bringing out magnificent cars. And when you get a collector, what do? It's the Ferrari collection. And my view is that... my God, have they got the marketing structure right? Because as people should know if they don't know, and that Ferrari have never, ever paid for an ad. They've never taken publicity. They've never been on a radio, television, or whatever it is, because everything they've had has gone through a motor racing commitment, and that is the commitment to excel in the sport that they love. So absolutely full marks to them. John Alcon is leading the company now, and I think it's going from strength to strength.
Yeah, Ferrari. Yeah, they might just become a popular brand after all the success in Formula One. Yeah, truly remarkable. And that stat that you've just shared there, Eddie, the fact that they never have paid for a classic advertisement. You'll never see a TV advert that is Ferrari-led. You might see it from their partners like Shell or any other partners they've got, and you'll never see an advert in a magazine. So a truly inspirational brand. It's got to be one of the most recognizable brands in the world. Right, let's get back into this battle for the World Championship. Now, Verstappen is leading the Drivers' Championship after the weekend by 47 points. That's the smallest gap he's had since Monaco in May. What is going to unfold in these remaining races? Are we going to see it go right down to the wire in Abu Dhabi? And once you've given your insight to that, EJ, we have to get into the penalties that were there in the weekend.
Well, we'll leave the penalties to the second part of the answer, and the first part is the 47 points. I said some time ago, maybe 4 races ago, that the biggest asset that Max has is the other competitors. Piastri, don't know what's happened to him at the last couple of races, but anyway, very quick and very somebody. He hasn't been there to support Lando as much as possibly in certain areas that he could have, but he could go on and win Grand Prix. I don't think he'd be allowed to win Grand Prix anymore because for sure the fight for Lando to get a world title is so important. However, there is Leclerc, there is Sainz, there is Lewis, there is George. There's any amount of drivers who can win races, including Max. So therefore, I think he's safe. I think he's safe by virtue of the group of people who are around him who can fight for him without them realizing that they are fighting for Max. I think Max has it under control. Yes, he was very, very tough in Mexico. Listen, David, we know he's a Michael Schumacher in disguise, isn't he? Honestly, Max is just a demon when he gets into that car. Puts the helmet on and the horns grow. No one's going to pass. I think Mexico, they give him a good slap on the wrist, and I hope he learns from it because some of the stuff that we saw is not necessarily what we would like to see, but nevertheless, that's Max's race and that's his style, and he's not going to lose that. He probably gets it from Joss's dad. But anyway, the reality is, I think, coming back to World Championship to answer the question, and the question is, do I think he's going to win it? Beyond doubt, he's going to win the world title.
Okay, right. Well, we can reflect on that when we get to the post-Abu Dhabi podcast. There was actually a brilliant little sketch from, I think, a countryman of yours, Conor Moore, who I saw online where he's
very well.
Yeah, he's doing one of his sketches where he's Lando. He's playing out Lando's character, and then when Max comes into the back of shot, then Lando kind of, slightly runs away as if don't tell Max. Basically, what Max has done, he's the modern day Michael Schumacher in that he is prepared to push the boundaries to find out where the sporting lines are. And I think that absolutely is part of his DNA. That's part of his success, is the fact that every single driver knows that they have got to, fight fire with fire. And I guess it was inevitable after the debate of what we saw in Austin that those penalties would be applied in Mexico. But I don't suspect for one moment Max will do anything different if the same situation arises. And I think also the other thing is you've got to make split-second decisions as the car's moving at pace, and you don't know who's ahead at the apex until you get to the apex. And the only way you find out is by trying. So I don't expect him to change at all. And actually, the fact that he's different to the others is what makes it so, every sport needs the favourites and the baddies and all the stuff that's in between. So where he maybe is going to find it quite challenging is the fact that, once again, another lacklustre performance from Checo Perez, out of position in qualifying. You're then on the back foot. We've got to touch on him and his little battle with Liam Lawson. Now, much as I would
don't
say,
forget the finger.
Yeah, well, I was just about to say, much as we shouldn't condone bad behaviour in the sporting environment.
Come on, David.
It was kind of fun to see that Liam is absolutely his own man and is not going to be intimidated by anyone. And he obviously felt that he couldn't send them a little note. He couldn't talk to him at that point. So a hand gesture, of which I've been guilty of in the past with Michael in Magny-Cours, I did apologise afterwards to all the kids that were watching and any of the parents who were offended.
Oh, good boy.
Well, you've got to nowadays, haven't you? People are offended by all sorts of things. But what do you think of that? What do you think for Checo? Is the writing on the wall? And what do you think of Liam? If he was in your car, would you be like, okay, Liam, yeah, well done. You're fighting your corner.
Liam Lawson is out of position. He's in the wrong car. He should be in the full Red Bull car, and I think we would see fireworks. I've seen enough of him in the last couple of races to believe that he is the real deal. There's lots of young drivers out there, which I'm... and later in the show, if we've got time, I want to talk about Magnussen for a second, because I have a different view to most people. And that is that Lawson... Surely Red Bull have to make a decision, David. You know the people inside Red Bull better than anybody, better than anyone. And you must know, because you used to hound me about looking for information about Adrian. I'm hounding you now. Do you think, or do you know, is Liam Lawson going to be the teammate for Max next year? That's the question. Well,
you're the one that does predictions. I don't have any involvement with the race team. I do some promotions and get the opportunity to slip into my race suit and go drive at public events, which I'll be going to your homeland.
Yes.
I'll be going to Galway in a couple of weeks to drive up and down the main strip there. So I'm looking forward to seeing the Atlantic coast of Ireland. But I don't know what's going to happen. But all I can say is right now, the performance from both cars isn't there. And that has to be a real concern. And therefore, if it continues until the end of the season, you've just logically got to expect change.
Yeah. So the other question is, do you think that Max has enough in the tank to get that 40 points? Do you think he's got enough in the tank to get it home?
I do. I think that he's the current world champion. He's in the mature phase of his Grand Prix career. He's extracting everything from his weekends. He rolled the dice and took the penalty, which the rules have been fairly clear. So, there's a lot of racing to be done. Even if he's, let's say, for whatever reason, let's imagine that the Red Bull is behind McLaren and Ferrari on pace in the remaining races. I agree with you. I think there's enough battling going on between the various drivers there that they'll be taking points off each other. I do agree that I think Oscar will be brought to heel and will be there in a supporting role for Lando. But I think it's going to be absolutely fascinating. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. Loved watching it. Loved watching that Grand Prix.
Okay.
No, you wanted to mention Magnussen. He does seem to have had a little bit of
renaissance.
Renaissance in the last couple of races. Little bit too late in the season. He's out of Formula One based on the current drives. So is this again a little bit like Carlos, who looks to have found solace in the fact that he knows he's not fighting for his drive there, his future is elsewhere? Is this just Magnussen driving with a clear mind because he's kind of at peace with himself?
So Jan, his dad, and I obviously raced together, so I know him very well. I saw young Magnussen come up as a baby, and now he's in the Haas, and he's had his knuckles rapped. And here, in my opinion, given the proper car and given the certain things, is another Max. By that I mean he's tough, he's hard, he's never going to give way. Now, we have yet to see the full extent of his speed. But if Jordan was there on the grid and we were saying to ourselves, I want somebody that I can afford. I want somebody that I can put my arm around. I want somebody that I can love and I can cherish, and I can make sure that every member of the Jordan team is behind you. And I will pull him to one side and I explain to him how important it is to finish. I'm promising you right now, David, I would pick Magnussen because I think potentially he's got the speed to be driving the wheels off what is basically a very average car. Come on, let's be serious about it. And no disrespect to Haas, yes, they've made very good progress, but not to the extent of what I've seen that Magnussen is doing with this car.
I totally agree. Kevin has always a great speed, right from getting on the podium, I think, in his very first Grand Prix with McLaren, where I think he would reflect on his career in Formula One, if this is the end, in getting involved maybe slightly overly aggressive in too many little incidents and wheel bangings. It's great to watch, but it's had its negativities in terms of damage and penalty points and all that sort of good stuff. But good to see that he appears to be in a happy place and that Haas are, mixing it up. The small teams showing that sometimes
brilliant,
not having a big budget and not developing lots and lots of things that don't work, and just focusing on things that may give you performance. I think, EJ, that covers all the main highlights from the Mexican Grand Prix, unless I miss anything. Remember, you can get in touch with us on social media at F1 for Success and send your questions into ffs@whisper.tv. EJ, I think that's all from me. So until next time, au revoir. A growl and mad eyes at the end of it.
Only for Halloween, though.